Well, the first game that you've highlighted is, and it's a curious one, an unexpected one, I'd say. F124. Now, we know from the PC version that Codemasters are really pushing features on that. There's a lot going on in that PC build. And therefore, I guess there's a lot of rendering technology they could tap into for PlayStation 5 Pro. But I'm looking at your notes here, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised at just how much they're doing here.
Yeah. I thought it was a really, really impressive racing game demo because they're doing a 4K 60 quality mode here, 4K output, and they're including 3 ray traced effects. So they're including DDGI, or Dynamic Diffuse Global Illumination, which is also included on the PlayStation 5 as well, plus RTAO, plus RT Transparency, and RT Opaque Reflections. And we do have some footage here that I was able to match, part of at least. But in the few shots that I was able to match, the RTAO and the RT reflections can make a pretty insane visual difference, like a really stunning visual difference relative to the PS5 version with just DDGI. In the right circumstances, I think it's almost a generational leap. Like the quality of the RTAO makes such a big difference in indirectly lit areas of the track, like on the start of Monaco here. I've got the kind of indirectly lit area at the start of Monaco in that afternoon sun, and you're really seeing like a ton of additional lighting detail with that RTAO that you're not seeing on the base console there. And the RT reflections apply not just to the cars, not just to trackside detail, but also all the transparent surfaces on trackside detail. So it actually looks really good. It's giving you a lot of interesting transparent reflections, like on the siding in Silverstone here. You're getting a ton of reflective detail there. It makes the game look so much better. I mean, this is not too new because we've seen this stuff on PC before, but it looks really, really good. And as like a Formula One fan myself, it gives you a much closer fidelity to that real life experience. And I was actually able to speak to Simon Lum, who's a producer at Codemasters, who I think put it very well here.
When something is ray traced, the light simulation, it gives your eyes what they're expecting. You know, previous techniques have, using baking, rasterization, have attempted to give us a simulation of light. Now with ray tracing, we can actually use the traced rays to give a proper reflection, to give proper ambient occlusion. It just sits the scene in more realism. It looks more like the broadcast. It feels right. It's just a wow moment to kind of see that happen. It's really exciting for us. It brings people closer to the race experience we want them to have, that kind of a thrilling authenticity of being a Formula One race driver, and that's very exciting for us.
So yeah, for the RT mode, you basically get everything from the PC version, but the RT shadows. There's also improved anisotropic filtering, which I was able to notice in the footage as well. Obviously, that's a frequent pain point on consoles, sort of a little bit of a pedestrian visual feature, but it is visibly much better on PS5 Pro. In terms of that RT mode, the only real compromise I'd say is that the image isn't quite as stable as on PS5 in its quality mode, which I think is a combination of PSSR plus all those extra ray tracing effects and all the noise inherent to like RTAO. It looks fine enough, but it does a more credible job of hitting a kind of plausible looking stable 4K image in that PS5 mode, but I think the trade-off here is absolutely worth it. And then if you're interested, there's also an 8K mode and a 4K 120 mode.
I'm always interested, more from an academic perspective, because, let's put it this way. I was one of the few to have an 8K screen, and even I lost interest and went back to a 4K display. So I'm very interested to see what you actually get with the 8K mode and how we're actually achieving 8K mode, because there is a school of thought that says that, you know, it's not 8K unless you're rendering at actual 8K.
Yeah, I think with the PS5 Pro, you pretty much have to disabuse yourself of that notion, unless you're looking at a game like maybe The Tourist, possibly, if that ends up being an 8K output on PS5 Pro. We don't know at the moment. But there is an 8K mode that you lose the additional ray tracing in. I believe you still get DDGI in that mode. And it's being reconstructed from, they talked about 4K to 8K, but interestingly not using PSSR, using the engine's native TAAU, Ego Engine's native TAAU. It did look very crisp at 8K. It looked very nice. And one nice thing is in the replays in this game, and indeed in the 8K mode, they drop it to 30 FPS, but you get all the ray tracing features from PC, including RT shadows, which you don't get in the 4K quality mode on PS5 Pro. So that's quite nice. There's also a new performance mode that uses the HDMI 2.1 spec quite well, which is 4K 120. Using TAAU. Before it was 1440p 120, so it is some improved quality there. And in terms of that kind of TAAU PSR divide or PSSR divide, they did talk a little bit about, you know, moving over to PSSR potentially in the other modes outside of that quality mode, but they kind of seem to be working through it at the moment. So possibly that will get added.
So our PSSR implementation, we haven't gone through many iterations on it at this time. We are looking to see what we can do in our 8K mode to add PSSR, to find more time in the frame, to kind of put the effect in and work to see future iterations. One of the benefits is it's tuned to console hardware, so it's going to get better and better over time. We're adding it to our current title. It's going to go into our engine, and we can improve our engine over time, as we always do with Ego. And we're hopeful that we can add PSSR to more modes in the future.
Okay, interesting. Well, we just don't really know what the computational cost is of PSSR and whether it's going to be viable for every game. But I guess having an inbuilt upscaling solution kind of makes the job a bit easier for a more short-term solution.
Yeah, and in terms of that quality of the 8K mode, it did look very sharp, very precise, very good in an 8K set like they had demoed for me there, even when I was looking at it at very close range. So I don't think there's any image quality compromise there. Indeed, I'd be interested to see how their TAU would compare to PSSR in that 4K quality mode. But I think with PSSR, it's more of a matter of like the model is getting better all the time, and they should get additional improvements. And especially as they fine tune and tweak things, I'm sure that image quality will probably be in a bit of a better spot. But I think it's totally worth it for the additional RT, because it makes just such a transformative difference in that game.